Are you guys tired of using the Night Stalker Hunter every single time you guys go into Onslaught? If you're anything like me, the answer to that is yes. Now, of course, the Night Stalker is very strong in Onslaught, but using the same build over and over again gets a bit boring. So in today's Destiny 2 build guide, we're going to be on the Hunter, going over another build that I've been using in Onslaught. You'll be able to stun all champions, you'll be able to output a lot of DPS, and you'll have very good ad clear with this build. So Guardians, let's jump into it.
Yo, it's time to subscribe to Paid to Be Famous. What are you doing?
Subscribe to Paid to Be Famous.
Subscribe to Paid to Be Famous. Like the video. Come on.
Hell
you know
yeah.
the drill.
Button.
And slap that like button.
For today's build, we're going to be utilizing the Arc Strider Hunter, and we're going to be taking with us the Assassin's Cowl exotic helmet. This exotic comes with a Vanishing Execution, powered melee final blows grant invisibility and restore a portion of health and shields. Finishers and final blows against more powerful targets increase the duration of the invisibility and the amount of health and shields that are restored. So this exotic right here is going to provide us with a lot of survivability, because once we go invisible, if the ads can't see us, they cannot hurt us. And since this exotic has to do with a lot of melees, we're going to be taking the Gambler's Dodge. Gambler's Dodge states that dodging near enemies fully recharges your melee. This is going to ensure that we have a melee up at all times. Then for our melee ability, we're taking Combination Blow. This is going to temporarily increase our melee damage when defeating a target, and it stacks 3 times. And whenever we defeat an enemy with our melee charge, it's going to refill our class ability and restore a small amount of health. So we're already working with a lot of synergy. Gambler's Dodge, we dodge to get that melee back. Once we get that melee, we defeat an enemy with it, and we get the class ability back. And the Combination Blow is going to be giving us health back, and the exotic helmet is going to be giving us health back. Moving on to the grenade, we've got the Flashbang Grenade. The reason we're using this is because it has a really fast cooldown, and the blinding effect will actually stun unstoppable champions. Then for our first aspect, we're taking Flow State. Defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While you are amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, you are more resilient while dodging, and reload speed is greatly increased. Then moving on from there, we're taking the Lethal Current arc aspect. States that after dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge, range, it jolts targets, and creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging any jolted target with melee attacks also blinds them. So as you can see right here, the arc blinding effect works on unstoppable champions, and when we jolt, that is also going to stun overload champions. And for our super ability, we're going to be taking the Gathering Storm. This is going to help with the output of DPS. You're going to be able to hurl your arc staff at a boss and then quickly whip out your power weapon or special weapon and start damaging the boss. Moving on from there, we have the Fragments. We are taking Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. Obviously in Onslaught, there are a lot of ads. You're going to be surrounded all the time, so this fragment is going to be in play at all times, and it also gives you a plus 10 to strength. The Spark of Resistance is actually going to give us a 25% damage resist, which is once again going to help us out with our survivability. Moving on from there, we have Spark of Feedback. Taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage, and it also buffs your resilience by 10. So whenever we're struck by a melee attack, we're going to get a 75% increase to our melee damage for the next melee hit within 5 seconds. Then we have Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. Whenever we pick up an ionic trace, it's going to grant us class ability energy. Then we have Spark of Volts. Finishers make you amplified. It's going to buff our recovery by 10. This is going to pair nicely with the Assassin's Cowl. Now on our helmet, I am taking 2 hands-on mods. We're going to gain bonus super energy on melee kills, and this build is all about doing a melee, so we're going to be able to pop our super a lot using this. Then I'm also utilizing some strand weapons, which is why I'm using a strand siphon, but if you're using a different affinity of weapon, go ahead and swap that out for whatever you need. On my arms, I'm rocking a heavy-handed. My powered melee final blows create an orb of power. We've got a focusing strike, grants class ability whenever we cause damage with our powered melee attack, and we have bolstering detonation, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. For the chest piece, I'm just using some reserve mods for my weapons and then an arc resist. You can obviously change these out with whatever element you guys are using. On the legs, I have a recuperation, replenishes health each time you pick up an orb. We're going to be creating a ton of orbs, so we're going to be getting a ton of health back with this mod. Then I'm using a couple of strand weapon surges. just for a little bit of extra damage with my strand weapons. Then on the class item, I have Reaper. Shortly after using your class ability, the next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. We have a Bulwark finisher. Finisher final blows generate an overshield, which once again is going to help us out with our survivability. And then we also have a proximity ward. Gain a powerful overshield while performing your finisher. These two mods are going to help you stay alive when you guys are in the thick of it, because this build does require you to get up close and personal. Now for my exotic, I'm using the Final Warning Exotic Sidearm. Exotic perk states that holding down the trigger marks targets within range and loads multiple bullets, which fire in a burst, which increased stability on trigger release. Hitting a marked target with a fully charged burst will unravel them. And I'm pairing the Exotic Sidearm with Unraveling Orbs and Horde Shuttle. Unraveling Orbs is going to give us unraveling rounds every time we pick up an orb. And Horde Shuttle, every time we damage an unraveled target, it's going to occasionally spawn a Threadling. Then for my energy weapon, I'm using the Xenoclast, and the only reason I'm using this is because it comes with a perk 1-2 punch. Hitting an enemy with every pellet in a shot increases melee damage for a short duration. So not only are we getting increased melee damage from 1-2 punch, but we're getting increased damage from the combination blow. So whenever I come up on beefier targets, I usually just hit him with the shotgun first and then hit him with the melee. And then for my heavy, I'm using the Cataphract that comes with bait and switch. So Guardians, that is pretty much the setup. All you have to do is actually dodge before you get into an engagement. Dodging is going to proc the lethal current arc aspect. You melee the enemy, you get the kill on the enemy. That's going to automatically refresh your class ability. You dodge again with your class ability. When you're near targets, that's going to automatically refresh your melee. And you just keep cycling that and you'll have endless class ability and endless melees. Now I will warn you, when you guys are in Legend Onslaught and you're in those later waves into the 30s, 40s, and 50s, you do have to play a bit smarter. Because if you run into a bunch of ads in those later waves, you will still get melted even with all the damage resist. But this build still does really good in there. You just have to play a little bit more safe in those later rounds. So Guardians, if you guys found this video helpful and you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed the content. Follow me over on my Twitch channel. And let me know down in the comments what's your favorite build right now to run in Onslaught. I'm going to get out of here. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.